Pepino in the cut. Why is your light all glitchy? I'm gonna fix that too. We're out here at Pepino's Performance, dog. Anybody need an outlet swap? Fucking, what else are you doing here? This is outlet swaps, handies.
Lift it up more. Lift the
That way.
4-6 drop for the tacuaches.
For the tacuachitos.
The light?
Hit up Pepino's Performance. But anyways, the homie let us use his whole shop, huh? Yeah. Fucking trying to vlog over here, dude.
The boys are trying to work over here, dude.
Make sure they have the washer on them, cuz.
Este man tiene dos.
Quítale una.
Shut up.
Line him up with the light, homie.
No, I try to help him fucking bolt up. He's in the fucking set.
Yeah, no, he's gonna line me up with this.
That's a rig.
Turned up, it'll make every bit of probably 2,000 wheel.
All right, so here we are. We got our fuel system sort of mapped out and a whole mess of shit over there. But basically, we are gonna mount our pump on this rail, 10 feed to the pump, and then 10 AN feed all the way to the rails, as well as a 10 AN return. Just a quick note, if you're using this MagnaFuel 750 or 4303, MagnaFuel says you can actually mount it up to 18 inches above the outlet, so you don't have to gravity feed it, which I thought you did, but you don't. So that's real nice. We'll mount it right there, and we'll start making all these lines, and hopefully in a few hours we'll have a fuel system complete for this thing. Rib nuts going in. One of my favorite tools. I think I say that every time. Okey-dokey. What's up? It's going anywhere? How'd it go? Like this. So we're going into the first line we got to make. We have our general area of cut wrapped in some tape. Shout out Pepino's Performance for the tape. Just kind of guesser. We don't really have a marker. Pepino don't have no markers in the shop. So I'll just go to that line. Let's cut it real quick. Where it's over there.
I'll pull
Hold it. Go up a little bit. This way. Oh, yeah, see. Okay. So I bought these little tools on eBay. These are just some plates to hold them in the vise, and this wrench. I kind of heard these suck, but we'll find out. Okay, real quick, guys, before we move on, I never actually showed how we made these fittings, these PTFE fittings. So I'm gonna show you guys real quick. This just happens to be a 180 that I'm gonna put on here. But the first thing you want to do is take this little bottom piece out. Let me get it off. Take this guy off of your fitting and you put it on the line. I like to put the line in this little vice grip thing that I bought off of eBay. You put that over it and slide it down. So that stays in there while you're working on this. Now we peel up our tape. I always put tape on them when I'm cutting them because it seems to make it easier and helps with all the fraying. But now that your tape is off, the next step is to get your fairing in there and around the PVC. But that's obviously a pain to do with all this stuff in the way, with all these little hairs, all these little stainless steel hairs. So what I do is I grab a screwdriver and carefully split them all apart away from the, I guess, PVC section of this. I don't know if it's PVC, PTFE. So you just spread this all out, and then I'll be right back when I have it spread out. You can also use pliers or basically whatever works to get these little hairs away from the center of it. That way your fairing will go into the fitting. Now, the more you obviously spread it away, the easier it is going to be to actually get the ferrule on there. But you don't want to do too much because then it makes this thing a pain to put on. But before I put the ferrule on, I'm actually going to take a grinder and kind of hit this area right here. Let's see if you guys can see. And just trim down all these little hairs just a little bit. And I'm going to do that because after your ferrule is on, you want to make sure it's bottomed out, right? All the way in there. Let's see if we can get this to focus. There we go. So you want your ferrule to be bottomed out. This top piece, you want it touching the top of the white line in there. So you want it all the way bottomed out. I'm not going to do this one because I'm not actually going to make this line. I don't need to make it. But once that's bottomed out, then you stick the rest of your fitting in here. Make sure you don't kink or... That goes right in there. And make sure you don't kink it. Sorry guys, I forgot the tripod and this is a pain. You put that all the way in, your ferrule is gonna be in there, and then you pull this guy up and you start screwing it on. But so for these fittings, I didn't find that I actually had to do the thing with the grinder where I cut them off for these TTR fittings. These are eBay fittings, guys. All this stuff was from eBay. This whole fuel system on this car was from eBay. And I want to say it was like 150 bucks for all the lines and all the fittings. And, you know, we were a little bit sketched out that it was going to leak or be problematic. And I mean, it hasn't leaked or given us any issues. The fittings were super easy to make. This brand TTR, they have a bunch of thread right here, which makes a huge difference because we were like 1 or 2 fittings short. We had to buy some locally. We bought some Red Horse and they absolutely sucked. Red Horse Performance fittings have like half of these threads. So it makes it an absolute bitch to get this to meet up here and actually screw on, especially when the ferrule and all that stuff is on there. So these fittings have worked great for us. I think our buddy Lou has them on his car too, and they've worked for him. And they're really cheap, you know. Like I said, 150 bucks. It came with like, I don't know how much line. I'll check right now. Like 10 feet of line or something like that. So we ordered 2 of them. But, you know, when typically one fitting, one Red Horse, 10 AN 90 is like 13 bucks or something. I want to say it. I don't remember exactly. But, you know, this stuff will save you money. It's definitely a lot better to order your fittings online. And the only issue with ordering your fittings online is that you have to basically map out your whole fuel system, and it can be tough, but if you take your time, all you have to do is just sit down and map it out and say, okay, I'm going from this is the cell, this is the size of it. I'm going from there to a filter, from that filter to the pump, from the pump to another filter, all the way to the rails. And you just, the easiest thing I say you could do is actually, oh, my bad. So the easiest thing to do, in my opinion, is actually draw it out and just literally map out every piece. That way you know exactly what you need to order, and then you're not stuck having to buy fittings from a local dealer, because usually they're expensive as shit. And like I said, the Red Horse stuff sucked. Those are the only two PTFE fittings I've used, is this TTR stuff from eBay and the Red Horse ones. The Red Horse, I've used them on regular rubber hose, and those, they worked fine. But for PTFE, I do not recommend Red Horse at all. As far as for the grinder, I'm not going to do it right now because I don't have my tripod. But basically, you'll just put a cutting wheel on and just run it right along all those little hairs and just trim them up. You know, give it a little haircut, and be careful not to cut your line, obviously. But just give them a little haircut, and that's going to make it real easy for fittings that have a short thread. I wish I had one that I could show you, but the Red Horse ones I'm talking about literally had like half of this, and they just absolutely sucked bad. But yeah. Okay, so we got our feed out of the cell, 100 micron filter, MagnaFuel 4303 line, and then our post filter we're putting over here, that's a 40 micron. We're gonna make a little mount here in this hole with another riv nut right there. So this is a cool little spot where I can show you guys how this tool actually works. So I'll have Sabino record me put that on. And then we have those little clamps. They're a little too big, but that's all right for now. But we're just gonna do this to hang it for now, and then we'll switch to probably an actual like fuel line mount of some sort. Okay guys, so when I was at Pepino's, I showed you guys underneath the car, and I don't know if I ever showed you all our Y here, but we got a bunch of stuff going on in here. Not everything is perfect in here, because like for example, this catch can, Sabino used it off of the truck, and there's just certain things that aren't 100% finished up. Anyways, that's beside the point. We're doing fuel right now. So there's that Y that comes from the pump, splits into two, goes into the back of the rail here and the back of the rail on the other side, and then obviously a crossover. So you always want to have your regulators after the rails or else you won't make any power. I don't know, I think you can only make like 600 horsepower if you have this before the rails. And this isn't even that fancy of a regulator. This thing is also, I also had this on B-Scott, and I don't even know, it's one of the smaller ones for like, I don't know how much power, but this car made 930, so that's that. And I don't think it really matters. I think we could have made more on that regulator. And you know, regulators, they work pretty simple. You can feed it on either end. So obviously we feed it from each rail, and then the bottom is the return. And we have our fuel pressure sensor here. This I would recommend you guys, and it's something we have to do too, is to get like a little T, like a copper T here. That way we can watch fuel pressure manually as well, or mechanically with like a gauge. Just because, especially if you're using a low dollar motorsport sensor. I've just heard of them failing. This one has actually worked fine for me, but on this car, for the dome pressure and oil pressure, we have Holley sensors. But like I said, it's probably not a bad idea to make this to where you have a mechanical fuel pressure sensor somewhere on the system, just so you can watch it just in case. Damn, look at this drawing. I don't know who did that, but it's pretty fresh. Eddie, you need to come work on your dumpster because you got all that to do. But anyways, here's our whiteboard of things that are already done on the car, but I just haven't made a video on them. So today we get to cross off a fuel system. Erase that sucker. I don't know where my eraser's at. So there we have it, guys. That was fuel system on the Camaro. I'm trying to catch up on all these videos. I have a bunch of footage and things that I filmed while we were building the car. I just haven't got to actually making videos of any of it. This is going to be the first one, and I'm actually going to dedicate some time to this, and hopefully I can have them out, all of them, soon. And after that, then I'm going to be back to work on La Bisca. I just bought a bunch of stuff for it, so I'm excited to get to work on it, but I got to get these videos out first before I start working on the truck, because once I start working on the truck, then I want to make consistent videos that actually follow the timeline and order. Like right now, fuel we did in like January, and I'm barely posting this now. So hopefully once I start working on the truck, I can actually start posting all these videos in order, and hopefully we get to go film a race sometime soon. Unfortunately, I missed one in Phoenix this past weekend because I had previous plans. Anyways, guys, make sure you check us out on all our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all that good stuff. If you're looking for any merch, dspstreetracing.com. I got shirts, hats, and hoodies. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Se la lavan. That's a lick!
Turned up, it'll make every bit of probably 2,000 wheel.